A land stretches beyond the horizon, where forests seem endless, where rivers freeze into silence, and where the earth itself feels untouched by time. Here, distance is not measured in kilometers, but in isolation, in how far the land can extend without interruption. The air feels heavier, colder, and the landscape unfolds slowly, revealing its vastness layer by layer. But how far can a place truly stretch before it feels completely beyond the reach of the world? Winter arrives not as a season, but as a transformation. Snow covers everything in a uniform stillness, turning valleys, plains, and rivers into a single continuous surface of white. The sky often hangs low, blending with the frozen land below, making it difficult to tell where one ends and the other begins. In this silence, even the smallest movement feels amplified. Every shift in light, every shadow across the snow. Then comes the brief summer, where the same land softens under a different light. Frozen rivers begin to flow again. Reflecting the sky like long, moving mirrors. Dense forests stretch across the terrain, their dark green tones contrasting against open clearings and distant hills. The transformation is quiet, yet complete, as if the land itself breathes in slow, seasonal rhythms. But what kind of place exists where nature holds this much control over time itself? And how vast must a landscape be to remain this unchanged, this distant from everything familiar? This is Siberia. A region so immense that its silence feels endless, and its landscapes stretch far beyond what the eye can fully comprehend. Siberia is not a single landscape, but an entire world of extremes, stretching across northern Russia from the Ural Mountains to the edge of the Pacific Ocean. It is one of the largest continuous land regions on Earth, where geography defines everything, from climate to movement to the very rhythm of the land itself. The region is dominated by vast natural formations. Endless taiga forests cover much of the terrain, forming one of the largest forest belts in the world. These forests appear dense and uniform from above, yet within them lie rivers, clearings, and subtle variations that break the monotony. Further north, the land transitions into tundra, flat, open, and exposed, where vegetation becomes sparse and the horizon feels even more distant. Rivers cut through Siberia like long, defining lines. Some remain frozen for months, while others flow steadily during the short summer, reflecting the sky and surrounding land. These waterways create natural divisions across the terrain, shaping valleys and lowlands without disrupting the overall sense of openness. The scale of Siberia is often compared to other remote regions of the world, including Alaska, yet even that comparison feels limited. Siberia extends far beyond a single reference point, existing as a landscape where distance, silence, and natural continuity define the experience. In the far northeastern expanse of Yakutia, the landscape unfolds as one of the coldest and most extreme environments on Earth. Vast plains stretch endlessly under a sky that often feels distant and pale, while the ground remains locked in permafrost for most of the year. The terrain appears still and unyielding, shaped more by temperature than by movement. During winter, the entire region transforms into a continuous field of white. Snow covers the land in a uniform layer, smoothing out natural variations and creating a surface that feels almost untouched. Rivers freeze completely, becoming solid pathways that blend seamlessly into the surrounding terrain. The silence here is profound, where even the wind seems muted against the vast emptiness. As the seasons shift, the landscape reveals subtle changes. In summer, the frozen ground softens at the surface, allowing patches of greenery to emerge across the plains. Shallow lakes and wetlands form where ice once dominated, reflecting the sky in still, mirror-like surfaces. The horizon remains wide and uninterrupted, reinforcing the sense of scale that defines Yakutia.
Set within the vast waters of Lake Baikal, Olkhon Island emerges as a landscape of contrasts, where open steppe meets rugged coastline. The island stretches long and narrow, surrounded by clear, deep water that shifts in tone depending on light and depth. The terrain of Olkhon is varied yet balanced. Wide, grass-covered plains extend across parts of the island, creating open spaces that feel expansive and calm. These areas gradually transition into rocky cliffs along the shoreline, where the land drops sharply into the lake below. The contrast between flat plains and steep edges defines the island's character. The coastline is irregular, marked by small bays, protruding rock formations, and narrow inlets. These features create a layered visual effect, where land and water interact in complex but natural patterns. The clarity of the lake enhances this interaction, allowing subtle details beneath the surface to remain visible. Light plays a central role in shaping the atmosphere. During the day, the water reflects the sky in shifting tones of blue, while the land appears in softer, earthy colors. As evening approaches, the entire landscape becomes warmer, and the contrast between land and water gradually softens. At the heart of southern Siberia lies Lake Baikal, a body of water so vast and deep that it feels more like an inland sea than a lake. Surrounded by mountains and forests, it stretches across the landscape with a clarity and stillness that defines the entire region. The surface of the lake changes with the seasons. In winter, it freezes into a thick sheet of ice, transforming into a transparent expanse where cracks and patterns form beneath the surface. These natural lines create intricate designs visible through the clear ice, giving the lake a textured appearance despite its stillness. During summer, the ice disappears, revealing deep, dark waters that reflect the surrounding mountains and sky. The shoreline varies between rocky edges and smoother sections, creating a continuous but changing boundary between land and water. The scale of Lake Baikal is its most defining feature. The horizon often appears distant, with the opposite shore barely visible in some areas. This vastness creates a sense of openness, where the lake becomes the central element of the landscape. Light transforms the scene throughout the day. Bright sunlight highlights the clarity of the water, while softer light during sunrise and sunset creates gentle reflections across the surface. Located within the western part of Lake Baikal, Ogoy Island appears as a narrow, elongated strip of land surrounded entirely by open water.
Its shape is simple and defined, stretching across the lake with a sense of isolation that separates it from larger land masses nearby. The terrain of Ogoy Island is modest yet distinct. Gentle slopes rise from the shoreline toward the center, where the highest point offers a clear view of the surrounding waters. The surface is mostly dry, covered with sparse vegetation that allows the natural contours of the land to remain visible. The island's edges are shaped by the lake itself. In some areas, the shoreline is smooth and gradual, while in others it becomes more uneven, with small rocky formations extending into the water. These variations create subtle differences in how the island interacts with the lake. The surrounding water plays a major role in defining the island's presence. Its clarity and depth create a strong contrast with the lighter tones of the land. The horizon remains open in all directions, reinforcing the feeling of isolation. Light moves freely across Ogoy, with no large structures or dense vegetation to interrupt it. During the day, the island appears clearly defined, while at sunset it softens into the surrounding tones of the lake and sky. Flowing outward from the vast waters of Lake Baikal, the Angara River begins its journey as a wide and steady current cutting through the Siberian landscape. Unlike many rivers that feel confined by their banks, the Angara appears open and expansive, its surface reflecting the sky in long, uninterrupted stretches. The surrounding terrain shifts gradually along its course. In some areas, dense forest lines the riverbanks, forming dark green edges that contrast with the lighter tones of the water. In others, the land opens into broader spaces where the river becomes the dominant feature, moving calmly through a more exposed environment. This variation creates a layered landscape where water and land interact without sharp boundaries.
During colder months, sections of the river begin to freeze, creating a mix of solid ice and flowing water. This transition adds textures, breaking its continuity while maintaining the overall sense of stillness. In the southern reaches of Siberia, within the Altai region, the Kurai steppe stretches as a wide open plain framed by distant mountain ranges. The land here feels exposed and expansive, with very little to interrupt the view across the horizon. The terrain is largely flat, covered with dry grass and sparse vegetation that changes subtly with the seasons. In warmer months, the steppe takes on muted green and golden tones, while in colder periods, it becomes pale and subdued, blending with the sky and distant mountains. The openness of the land allows every detail, no matter how small, to remain visible across long distances. What defines the Kurai steppe is its relationship with the surrounding mountains. Snow-capped peaks rise sharply in the distance, creating a strong contrast between the flat plain and the elevated terrain beyond. This combination of open land and towering backdrop adds depth to the landscape, making it feel both vast and enclosed at the same time. The sky plays a dominant role here. With no dense forests or large structures to block it, the sky appears larger and more present, often changing the entire mood of the landscape depending on light and weather. Located in southern Siberia, Khakassia presents a landscape of varied terrain where steppe, forest and mountains exist within a relatively compact region.
This diversity creates a shifting visual experience, where no single element dominates for long. The steppe regions form wide, open plains, covered in grasses that move gently with the wind. These areas feel expansive and exposed, allowing the horizon to remain visible in all directions. In contrast, forested sections introduce denser textures, with darker tones and more defined boundaries. Rivers and small lakes are scattered throughout the region, adding reflective surfaces that break the continuity of the land. These water bodies often appear calm, mirroring the sky and surrounding terrain, while introducing subtle variations in color and light. Mountains rise in the background, not as overwhelming formations, but as steady, defining features that frame the landscape. This constant change gives the region a sense of quiet movement. One of the largest rivers in Asia, the Yenisei River, flows through the vast expanse of Siberia, carving a long and powerful path from the south toward the Arctic Ocean. Its scale is immediately noticeable, as the river stretches wide across the landscape, dominating everything around it. The banks of the Yenisei vary along its course. In some areas, steep cliffs rise above the water, creating dramatic edges that contrast with the smooth surface below. In others, the land slopes gently, allowing the river to expand and flow more freely. This variation gives the river a dynamic presence, constantly shifting in form as it moves through different terrains. At the meeting point of several landscapes in southern Siberia, the Altai Mountains rise as a complex system of ridges, valleys, and high peaks that define the region's natural structure. Unlike uniform mountain ranges, the Altai appears layered and varied, with each section revealing a different formation. The terrain shifts constantly, from steep, rocky slopes to wide valleys that open between the mountains. These valleys are often covered with grasslands or intersected by rivers, creating a balance between elevation and openness. The peaks themselves vary in height and shape, some sharp and jagged, others more rounded and gradual.
Water plays a central role in shaping the landscape. Rivers originate in the higher elevations, flowing downward through narrow channels before expanding into wider valleys. These waterways add movement to the otherwise still environment, creating a continuous connection between different parts of the terrain. The visual character of the Altai Mountains changes with light. In bright conditions, the details of rock, vegetation, and elevation become more defined. Situated along the banks of the Ob River, Barnaul exists within a landscape where water and open land meet. The surrounding terrain is relatively flat, extending outward in wide stretches that give the region a sense of openness. The river acts as the central natural feature, moving steadily through the area and shaping the land around it. Its surface reflects the sky in long, continuous lines, creating a visual connection between water and horizon. The banks vary slightly, with gentle slopes leading down toward the river in some areas, while other sections appear more defined. These open spaces allow light to move freely across the surface, changing the tone of the landscape throughout the day. In the mountainous terrain of southern Siberia, Sheregesh is surrounded by forested slopes and elevated ridges that create a layered and enclosed landscape. The terrain here is more vertical than expansive, with hills rising and falling in continuous succession. Dense forests cover much of the region, forming a textured surface that contrasts with the open plains found elsewhere in Siberia. The trees create a darker tone across the land, while the underlying terrain remains partially hidden beneath this natural cover. In winter, the entire area is transformed. Snow settles across the slopes, smoothing out the terrain and creating a continuous white surface that follows the contours of the hills. The forest becomes partially covered, with only the upper sections of trees remaining visible above the snow. The elevation allows for a more dynamic interaction with light. Slopes facing the sun appear brighter, while shaded areas retain deeper tones, creating contrast across the landscape. Rising dramatically along the banks of the Lena River, the Lena Pillars form one of the most striking natural formations in Siberia. These towering vertical structures extend high above the ground, creating a series of stone columns that appear almost sculpted. The pillars are composed of limestone and have been shaped over millions of years by erosion, resulting in tall, narrow formations with irregular surfaces. They rise in clusters, forming a continuous wall-like appearance along parts of the riverbank. The contrast between the vertical pillars and the horizontal flow of the river below defines the landscape. The Lena River moves steadily through the area, its surface reflecting both the sky and the towering rock formations above. This interaction between water and stone creates a balanced yet dramatic scene. Light enhances the texture of the pillars, highlighting edges, shadows, and variations in the rock surface. Located in the heart of Siberia, Novosibirsk is surrounded by a landscape of broad plains and gentle terrain that extends across vast distances. The region is characterized by its openness, where elevation changes are minimal and the horizon remains wide and uninterrupted. The land around Novosibirsk appears smooth and continuous, with subtle variations that become visible under changing light. In some areas, patches of forest introduce darker tones, while in others, open fields dominate, creating a lighter and more expansive view. The Ob River flows through the region, adding a defining line of movement across the otherwise stable terrain. Its surface reflects the sky, creating a visual connection between water and atmosphere. The river's presence adds depth without disrupting the simplicity of the landscape. Seasonal shifts bring noticeable changes. Winter covers the plains in snow, creating a uniform and minimal scene. In warmer months, the land reveals more texture and variation, with subtle differences in color and surface. Across the vast expanse of Siberia, from frozen rivers to open steppes, from dense forests to rising mountains, each place exists with its own rhythm, steady, uninterrupted, and grounded in nature. In Siberia, distance feels endless, and every scene unfolds slowly, allowing the land itself to remain the central presence, untouched and enduring across seasons and space. Subscribe for more cinematic explorations of remote landscapes and unseen regions. Stay connected for journeys where nature defines the story, through silence, scale, and raw beauty, revealing parts of the world that exist far beyond the usual routes
and beyond what is commonly seen.